Hi there and welcome back. So in our last lesson we created our base shape. I'll just bring this back on. This is what we created. So in this lesson what we're going to do is to create this nice cut right here and then push this in and also create the lens for our the little screen for this object. So I'll go ahead and open this, and in our last lesson we created this, so I'll just go ahead and delete it because we're going to recreate it from scratch. So I'll just go over here and press X and click OK just to delete that, and let's save our project. So let's call this 03, and let's just click save. So the first thing I'll do is to create a screen just right here at the center, nothing too fancy. It's going to be a rectangular screen, so let's click on creation, right click, and because we've rotated that face, it's selected that object, it's telling me it wants to cut it out from this face, right? So I'll just twist my screen a bit. So basically what I'm going to do is to go to cut add. We could actually jump to that directly here, but once we click on creation we have the option to select any of these creation methods. I'll just head over here and kind of like draw a nice screen. I believe that's too big, so I'll press R to reset, and I'll just look at my reference a bit. I'll deselect this and toggle X-ray, select this, just validate that and undo. So let's toggle X-ray so we could just see through the object and try to place this. We could just eyeball it and create our shape just at the center right here. So yeah, so let's go to cut add and right click on this face, and we can even add more edges, vertices if we want. And I think this is fine. This is not really far away, because I'm thinking about what's going to happen when we start creating the buttons. Yeah, I think I like this. Yeah, I think I like this. This is not too bad. So what we actually did right now is let's just drag this and push it in a little bit. So we have this little thickness right here. Let's make sure it's not thicker than our main object. So let's right click that. So I believe it's not passing through the back. And each time, if this is getting in the way, we can always hide this guy. So we could just rotate our object and see the back, and we're not having any of that object going through the back. So we can actually turn on our wireframe and see that it's not actually touching the back. But I'll just like to edit this object. So to edit this object, let's go to the show booleans and let's click on this boolean object. You'll know which object you've selected when you see it selected like so. And I'll just push this like so, and let's go to edit. Let's click on the dimensions and we'll just leave it as it is. I think it's okay. So let's validate that, and let's get back to, let's just right click here and let's turn off the X-ray mode. Now look what's happening here. Because we're laying this object on a boolean, it's doing an overlap issue and causing an error. So in Fluent, that's because Blender needs to support this boolean edge. So if we actually have our wireframe selected, so we're actually seeing this artifact, which is not good. Another thing I actually forgot to do was to add a bevel here. So let's click on add bevel, just to add a little bevel on this edge. You can see how it looks like with the bevel. It just makes rendering a bit easier, and I'll just turn that down a bit because it's too much. So let's select this object and let's drag the bevel width to something a little bit very small, like 0.0052. I think that's fine. So let's add some edges here to support this object. So in Blender, what Fluent does is to create a plane and add a solidify object. If we go to the modifiers tab and just drag this a bit to the right where we see solidify, if we turn this off, we can actually see we have a flat plane with a solidify modifier, like so. So what we can do is to add support edges to pass through this boolean so that Blender can handle this and not create these nasty vertices. So with the object selected, I'll just go to edit mode and I'll go to loop cut and add a loop cut just at the center, like so. And with the loop cut selected, let's go to the toolbox. So this is the loop cut we selected because it's orange. Let's go to the toolbox and add the VG cleaner. So once we add that VG cleaner, Blender sees that there is a support edge here and it totally understands what we're trying to do and there are no problems. So I'll turn on that solidify, and you don't even have to turn up the solidify. I'm just doing that just to showcase what Fluent is doing. So now that we have that, let's quickly create another glass for this object, because if you look at it right now, it's just, you know, kind of like passing through right here. So we can select this Boolean object, this one that we click on show Booleans and click on this guy. And what we can do is go to edit. Sorry, we can just right click. Again, select this Boolean, not the whole thing, just this one. And let's go ahead and create a glass plate for this. So because we selected that, we can actually see it's kind of like creating this grid on this object's face. So let's go ahead and create our little glass. So let's just click over here, drag, and have this glass object, and I'll just scale this just a little bit, like so. Right click, validate, and let's add a little kind of like bevel here, just along the edge. Yeah, that's super fine. Now what we like to do is just move the object a little bit inside, like so. So you can actually see this glass here and this piece will be here, just like that, so it doesn't kind of like obstruct it. We're going to add a, we can even rename these guys. I'll just call this the, I'll just call this the screen. Right, so that's the screen. This is the frame. And we also have another cut here. This is the frame, and this is the cut we have inside for space for the glass, and then this is the screen as well. So that is going to be all for this section where we create the screen. In our next lesson, we're going to go ahead and keep on adding more details to this object. See you in the next lesson.